All right, we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Guys, you are watching the behind the scenes. We got a fresh, looks like freshly combed hair, Rub Bagby in the house. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you.
Good deal, good deal. We'll hit the intro and we'll get right into
All right.
it. What's up, guys? Wes, the People's Pitmaster, back again for another episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate. It's my weekly barbecue podcast that drops every Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last week we headed north to Quebec. This week we're headed south to Florida. We've got Swamp Boys in the house. Rub Bagby, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Rub Bagby of Swamp Boys Barbecue. You guys may remember the episode. Gosh, I guess it was last year, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So we had just a little introduction to Rub. If you guys missed that, we'll run right through that and just see what's going on new at Rub's place. So just walk me kind of lightly through. You were a school teacher and what got you into barbecue, and then we'll slide into the meat and the potatoes.
Okay. So you want me to start with that?
Get right ahead.
Yep. I was school teacher, retired after 30 years. Retirement is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Uh, and I kind of got tired of the competition side of barbecue after 19 years and 440 or so contests. But I didn't want to get away from barbecue altogether. So I thought, I've got these great pits. I've got a fairly big old hickory. I've got a good competition trailer that's
Hmm.
it's old, but it's still sound as a rock. And
Yeah,
I thought, you know what, maybe I can transition into doing a little food truck kind of business, very,
yeah.
very part time, maybe one day a week.
Well, now, if I remember correctly, this is not the first time you've rebuilt and reworked that trailer because I think you had the Mojo openers, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. That was a kind of a fundraiser for the front half. It's kind of divided into an enclosed section and an
Yeah,
open section. And the enclosed section, the floor, the tread plate floor was dangerous.
yeah,
So we cut that out, and my friend JW came up with the great idea of making them into little bottle openers and
yeah,
put them up for sale, kind of like a fundraiser to help pay for the project. And
yeah,
sure enough, man, he was right. We sold enough to pay for the front end redo.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I
Well,
think we kind of tapped the Mojo bottle opener market the first time, so we didn't
yeah,
try it on the second time. I did need to replace the back floor because it was
yeah,
worse than the front floor was, but
yeah,
that all came from savings.
yeah. Okay. So the rework, so the rework of the trailer, just to kind of give you something to do in retirement and still keep you in barbecue, right? Are you competing at all?
Um, Technically, I'm competing 3 times a year, which is 3 contests that are very close to the house that we've always traditionally sold our food at.
Hmm.
And I'm not competing to be competitive because I can't pretend that I'm still, right up there with every new nuance and trend. But
Yeah,
I compete so I can vend.
yeah,
So we're doing the 3 a year, and I give it my best shot. But I'll be honest, I don't go out and spend $200 for a Wagyu brisket. I'll
yeah,
find a nice prime brisket and do that. And I
yeah,
give it my best shot, but I don't obsess over it like I used to.
yeah. So we're not using tweezers or anything crazy like that anymore. Yeah,
Now I'm turning in good quality products, but I'm not aiming for the very, very top,
yeah,
if that
yeah. It's
makes
more of a
sense.
yeah. Completely makes sense. I've got friends that compete solely to get their name out there, in the catering world to book caterings. and they go out. They go out pretty often, and they're relatively competitive in the sanctioning body they're in, but their success is not necessarily a trophy. It's their success is, oh yeah, we booked three caterings and a wedding, you know,
Right.
for the weekend. So I can definitely see how that would be a good idea, especially if you're trying to find something to do with your time and some catering catering spots and you're already set up. Everybody expects barbecue, and that's always been one of the biggest things with the competition world is most sanctioning bodies, by the time the public gets there, everything's turned in, and most of the guys are breaking down, and there's not really barbecue to be had at a lot of contests. So I can definitely see the benefit there for sure.
Yeah, down here actually it's probably a little different than what it sounds like where you are.
Yeah.
Um, we start, at a contest, we start selling Fridays, and we sell from usually 5 o'clock Friday through 10 p.m. on Friday, and then they open to the public at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So
Hmm.
you're selling straight on through the rest of the day until awards. So it's
Really.
I'd say
And
it's a
you're
good,
competing too.
yeah, yeah. And so
And
it's
now
it's always been a challenge.
is that every competitor has the ability to vend, or is it just select competitors can vend?
It's pretty much anyone who wants to do it can do it.
Uh,
Of course, the top team, I didn't used to do it when I was chasing team of the year and stuff like that because vending really,
busy.
really gets in the way.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to be a perfectionist, and I just can't be a perfectionist with two different areas at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was always very challenging to do the vending while I was competing at a high level. But so now it's a lot more relaxing when I go in and I
Hmm.
have no competition expectations of myself. I
Yeah.
turn in good product, but I'm more focused on the vending side.
Yeah. The general public. Well, like we have like the GBA, um, and the Memphis Barbecue Network. They have vendors that are there, but they're not necessarily competitors. Um, so for like you to be in the row with the rest of the competitors and you're serving food, that's a little different than what I'm used to for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I can see where that would make a barbecue contest there more barbecue. Try some barbecue from a bunch of different places, and then they stop by, shake my hand, I'll be back, and then they come back empty-handed, and they're
yeah.
like, "Well, do you have anything left?" So that's I think that's something that probably needs to be explored more for other sanctioning bodies because the general public is can be a good tool in making that a success too. So
Oh, it's huge. There's a Lakeland Pig Fest, which is 30 minutes from the house. They'll draw in 30,000 people in a day.
wow,
And, that wouldn't happen if there was no food to buy, if there was not a lot of good stuff to see. So,
yeah,
like at that contest, we sell out usually by 3 o'clock on Saturday, and we've cooked the maximum of everything we can cook, and we're just
yeah,
spent, and we got nothing else to sell.
yeah,
So yeah, and when you have, if you go to eh, let's say you're an organizer and you're going to sponsors, potential sponsors, if you can say we had 30,000 people at our event on Saturday and 10,000 on Friday, your name's going to be in front of 40,000 people. That's
yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah,
So it definitely helps organizers. It helps draw in sponsorship. It helps the teams who are vending. It's a good thing.
yeah. And you're an FBA. Those are all FBA contests.
Um, at one time or another, they have been. Right now, sadly, from my point of view, a couple of the contests have switched from FBA to KCBS. I think they're just chasing greener grass on the other side of the fence.
Hmm.
But so right now, the three main ones that we are going to compete and vend at are all KCBS.
Okay. So it's not a not where I thought it was going to go. I thought they were all still at FBA contest. Is the FBA still growing and going, or
It is.
have they kind
It's
of died out?
it's just it's kind of going through a transition. All of them, all the bodies, kind of ebb and flow with what the public wants.
Hmm.
The Actually, the three that we do, only one of them was FBA, and I think they just thought they could piggyback on to another contest that was KCBS and keep some out of staters down into our state for another week. And
Hmm.
they may have picked up a small handful of teams, but at the same time, I know for a fact that they also lost a small handful of teams, hardcore FBA teams who don't necessarily like the KCBS format of 30
Yeah.
minutes and garnish in the box.
Yeah.
So it's probably a wash,
Yeah.
on whether or not they gained net teams. But yeah, I do everything I can to keep the FBA going strong, and I was disappointed in the one that switched over, and hopefully they'll come back around and come back to FBA soon.
Yeah. Well, come back where there's no greenery, right?
That's right. Oh, I hate that.
Uh, that's that's probably the most one of the things that the general public is like, oh, that's you got to have the greenery in there for whatever reason, and it's really not as prevalent in a lot of sanctioning bodies as folks would think, I guess.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
that's I don't see the allure or the why with it, I guess. I mean, it looks pretty, I guess, but like, I mean, fill the box with meat. That's
I
that's
agree.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean it does look pretty, but are you a horticulturist or are you a barbecuer?
Yeah,
It takes time to go out and source good looking greens. I'm all about the money, the budget. And in my mind, that's $20 a contest just thrown in the trash eventually. And
yeah,
plus the time that it takes. I'm not the quickest box builder. So
yeah,
between the time and the money, it's a lose-lose for me. Count me out on the greenery.
yeah. I can understand that. So you were. Let's get back into the rebuild of the competition trailer. Your competition trailer originally, before the build, did you have the vending window already? Did you install all that fun stuff, the sinks and etc. Or where? I mean, where did you start versus where are you now?
It was a big job. Did not have a vending window. It was set up beautifully for competition, and I
Mhm.
basically every weekend I lived in that trailer for 2 or 3 days a week, and it had a toilet, it had a shower, it had a sink, it had hot water, had a nice work table, it had a nice area where I could spread out my cot, great air conditioning. It was
Mhm.
perfect for what I needed. And, over 18 years of working in the same table space, which was basically a 3 by 5 table, you get everything within reach where you can
Yeah,
get it quickly and efficiently while you're competing. And it was perfect for that. Now, when you
yeah,
switch over to uh, vending and being a food truck, it was terrible for that. It's it was not set up for that in the least. For
yeah.
a food truck, you have to have a 3 compartment sink. I had a 1 compartment sink. Um, the table was good, but it was too big for inside.
Hmm.
There's you can't obviously you cannot have a toilet in your kitchen, so that had to
Frowned
go.
upon, right? It's frowned
Yeah,
upon.
yeah. I didn't know they didn't like that, but apparently they don't. They don't want you to have a shower in your kitchen either, so I had to get rid of that. But I basically had to gut the entire enclosed section and take it
Okay.
down to the bare walls, because after, it was like a bachelor pad. And after
Yeah.
living in a bachelor pad and not having a house cleaner come to clean up, it was kind of grungy in there.
Yeah.
So I stripped it all down to the walls, or past the walls to the inner part, and I laid in some new insulation. Everything has to be FRP, fiberglass reinforced plastic,
Hmm.
for in Florida for a food trailer, or it can be aluminum plate or stainless steel plate, but that stuff is
Hmm.
crazy expensive right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not cheap stuff.
No, you used to be able to get it pre-pandemic for probably 40, $50 a sheet, and now it's about 120 a sheet.
Yeah.
So I opted for the FRP, which is a lot more affordable. It's very hard to work with, but it's more
Hmm.
affordable. And I stripped everything out. I had a vision of what I wanted, where I wanted the window.
Hmm.
The window was going to go right where my, at that time, door was.
Hmm.
So I am not a fabricator or a metal worker by any stretch. So I got
Hmm.
with my friend Jim Elser, Sweet Smoke Q,
Yeah.
and asked him, because I know he does a lot of fabrication. He said, well, he's really busy with his sauce and his own business, but his son Garrett could help me out. So I got with his son Garrett and showed him what I wanted, where I wanted it. We moved the door, put in a window, and needed the back porch floor spruced up. It had a lot of rust in it.
Hmm.
So gave it to Garrett for a couple of weeks, and man, he knocked it out of the park. He did an excellent job. Couldn't be happier with what he did at a crazy fair price. So that
Yeah.
went really well. I I didn't realize a vending window. You see those on the food trucks, and a proper vending window is usually pushing about $1,000 because
Really.
it's large for the most part, and it has that fold down awning that comes down on top of it. But
Hmm.
I had my fold down awnings on my trailer already, so I thought, I'm all about saving the Benjis. So I
Hmm.
thought, how can I do this without spending $1,000 on a window? So I started shopping and asking and researching. And I found out basically all I really needed was a horizontal sliding window. And
Hmm.
I looked around and I found that nearby there's a mobile home parts place that
Hmm.
sold mobile home vinyl windows for $250. So I went and
That's
got one of those and
a
had
lot
Garrett
cheaper.
install it. Yeah, and I saved myself $750, and I've got a good looking window.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of stuff like that to try to see how economically I could do it. And
Hmm.
I tapped into my savings and my hide money and all that good stuff, but I was able to do it and pay cash for it. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Um, so any trials and tribulations? Because I mean, up until this point, it sounds like you had, I mean, a pretty easy build and swap some parts out here, swap some parts out there, let somebody else put the window in and fix the back floor, and you're off to the races. So nothing terrible, nothing trials, no trials, no tribulations, huh?
There was thousands of trials and tribulations. I I know how to do stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm good at doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to redo the electrical, which I YouTubed everything. Luckily, I didn't blow anything up. Um, FRP is like, it's like trying to staple a wet paper towel to the floor or to the wall. It's not or it's not sturdy at all. It just folds on
Yeah.
itself. So, and I was a one man job. So, I'm fighting everything, trying to get stuff up straight and screw everything in. And, I didn't use any nails. I used screws to keep it sturdier. And um, I would say the biggest challenge by far was getting that stuff up on the ceiling. You know, when you got something that's, I don't know, it probably weighs 30 or 40 pounds and it's a 4 by 8
Hmm.
sheet and it has no rigidity. So
Yeah.
I found some cheap sheets of plywood and glued it to that. But then I'm putting the sheets of plywood and screwing them into the ceiling myself. And
Hmm.
that's pretty hard, you know, because at that point it's probably 50 or 60 pounds working up
Yeah.
over your head. So I had ratchet straps draped from side to side of my wall of my trailer, and I'm ratcheting them up, and it's sliding off, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
What would have taken probably two people or one very competent person, maybe a month, took me about 2.5 months.
Okay.
So it was full of struggles, but I'm really proud of the way it turned out. It turned out better than I thought it would, and
Yeah.
it's super, really fresh and clean, and passed with 100% inspection, and it was worth the struggle.
Yeah. Well, I almost I asked the question because I saw the struggle with the plumbing, and I thought surely the plumbing is the worst thing. I didn't even think about all the walls and the roof. That's
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
not an easy one at all.
right. Yeah, and I forgot about the plumbing. Yeah, that dang faucet. I found out with when you install faucets, if it leaks a little bit, it's not necessarily the right thing to tighten it down with all you got. I think
Yeah,
I ended up cracking stuff doing that.
yeah,
So it's not all about the super tight. It's about plumber's tape and stuff like that. So I learned some expensive lessons.
yeah. So you got it all done under budget, um, and this is the same trailer you've been in for what, 18, 20 years, close to it.
You know, I think I said that, but now that I think about it, I've been competing about 19 years, but I only own the trailer for 15 of those years. So yeah, it's the same trailer that's been with me for 15 years.
Yeah. That's still a good little time that your truck knows that trailer pretty well,
Oh
and you
yeah,
probably could walk in it before the rebuild with your eyes closed and find everything you needed. Um,
definitely.
so you found the adjustment to being a food trailer is easy, difficult.
Um, it's been a challenge. I'll be honest with you. We lost a lot of space, free space in there.
Hmm.
You know, used to be you could two or three people could walk around and turn around and not bump into each other. But now we have a very narrow walkway down the middle because we have now I've added a full size refrigerator, a full size
Hmm.
warmer, a couple of different tables, um, a 3 bay sink, which takes up a lot of room. So actual walking floor space has probably been cut at least in half.
Hmm.
So it's tight in there, and I tried to organize it as best I could with totes and you know labeling them so I knew where everything was
Hmm.
and clear totes so I could look to and see. But you know it still takes a while to get the hang of where everything is, and you want to be quick and efficient when you got customers lined up and waiting.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's still a challenge, and we're still figuring it out. But each we've noticed a big improvement each week
Hmm.
um, on the way we're able to move efficiently inside and get things loaded. You know, most of the stuff is now staying in the trailer,
Hmm.
um, and it's getting easier. I would say
Yeah.
probably within a month, 3 or 4 more times of doing it, we'll have it down pretty good.
Yeah. And it's just you and your wife, or is it you and a couple buddies, or what's?
Just me and my wife, and eventually it's not always, but it's going to be just me on some weekday stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but right now, you know, having three different side dishes and 3 different meats. And I'm not the quickest person. It helps to have 2 hands in there, and you got one person is taking money, and you got to have on gloves, and you can't take money with gloves because if you do, you got to change. So
Yeah.
2 people definitely makes it a lot easier. But
Yeah.
eventually, I'll get to where I just do it myself on weekdays, but weekends she's helping me out.
Yeah. So you guys are you finding festivals to do outside of the three comps, or what's y'all's? I mean, where are you? How are you deciding where to set up and when to set up?
That's been a big learning curve for us, and we're still fighting it. Um, we when I first was getting into it and going through all the licensing stuff, I understood that in my city, Winter Haven, you had to have
Hmm.
written permission from the landowner. It couldn't,
Hmm.
not just the person who owns the shop you might set up in front of, but the actual landowner, which a lot of times is not the person who owns or who's running the shop. So
Yeah.
I found I've got a good friend who has some prime real estate right downtown Winter Haven, and
Hmm.
part of his property is right underneath a water tower. I thought, well,
Hmm.
heck, that's a fantastic landmark. We're set up underneath the water tower in downtown Winter
Yeah.
Haven. Um, so he's graciously let me use that property, and we've set up there 3 or 4 times. Um,
Hmm.
it's got pretty decent foot traffic
Hmm.
right past it. Um, but I'm learning that, uh, at least early on now, that when people go to town and they want to eat, they don't go to town without a plan. They go to town knowing we're going to go to this restaurant, we're going to go to that restaurant.
Yeah.
We're not just going to walk aimlessly and maybe stop at a food truck. So
Yeah.
while there's lots of traffic, um, everybody's already got their mind made up where they're going to eat. So I've
Yeah.
really been trying to hammer down and grind out social media,
Hmm.
um, to get the word out there. And that's been a challenge. I'm
Yeah.
on the Next Door app, which targets my immediate area, which is good. You do it on Facebook, but the majority of my friends on Facebook are not from Winter Haven; they're from across the country and the world. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but we're getting there. Um, we have we do have 2 breweries close by, and they do food truck days and nights. And
Hmm.
they're usually booked for months in advance. So I started getting with them a couple of months ago and letting them know that I would like to be considered. So
Yeah.
I've picked up a few dates at one, and I think I'm on a trial for another in January, and hopefully she'll like what she sees and book me for more dates. But
Yeah.
I'm having to get creative and look outside the box, and come up with new places that people will make a destination, and they can
Yeah.
equate us with grabbing lunch or dinner at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not at
Um,
all like a barbecue contest where you have 10 to 30,000 people walking around looking for barbecue.
yeah.
That's a grand slam. If we
Yeah.
have uh, if we have 50 or 60 customers, that's a good day right now.
Yeah. Okay. You said you were under a water tower. I mean, is there a fair amount of greenery around you? I mean, could you set out like some standing tables maybe that might help draw people in?
That's a good question. I went I went to the city government, the permitting people, and was all ready to give them my signed letters from landowners
Hmm.
saying I had permission. And she said, "Oh, we've done away with that. Turns out that just turned into the good old boy system, and some people couldn't get in." I'm like, "Dang, man, I'm all about the good old boy system because I know a lot of people." But anyway, she said, "You just have to get permission from the people who are there now." And she said, "But you cannot put up any signs. You can't attach anything to your trailer. You can't put out tables. You can't put out chairs. Um, those tall flag banner things that wave in the
Yeah.
wind. Can't do those. Can't do anything. So the first time we went out, we didn't do anything. And I even have probably a 20-foot flagpole with the U.S. flag on top and
Yeah.
Swamp Boys flag below it. And she
Yeah.
said, "No, you can't put that up because that's advertising your business." And I'm like, "You're killing me here." So the first time we followed all the rules, and we didn't put up any signs, and it was pretty much crickets. I mean, we sat there twiddling our thumbs, and
Yeah.
yeah, we covered our costs, but we didn't make any money. And the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, we've eventually stretched the rules or bent the rules, and we've let people know that we're there with some signs.
Hmm.
We haven't gone as far as putting out chairs and tables, but man, I would like to. I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a struggle. But my buddy who owns the property we've been setting up on, I told him all this, and he said, "I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to tell you this once." He said, "The city government doesn't work on Saturdays." I said, "You're right. They don't, do they?" So we kind of
Uh,
took it from there, and it's helped. I
yeah.
can't figure out how to tote chairs and tables because we're already jam packed in the trailer, but maybe
Yeah.
eventually we'll figure out something.
I'd say you could come up with some flip down tables from the side on the side of the truck.
Yeah, possibly, possibly.
So as far as doing the vending, do you think you would have been happier in a made for vending trailer, or you're happier in the one retrofitted that you just retrofitted to your needs?
Um, you know, I've loved my trailer ever since I got it,
Hmm.
and I recently, at the same time I was converting mine, I was helping a friend up in Wisconsin buy a trailer. Um,
Hmm.
my buddy down here had a beautiful vending trailer. They competed out of it, but it was also set up for vending,
Hmm.
and it was gorgeous. It was way out of my price league, but I went and took probably 100 photos of it and sent it to my buddy, and it was exactly what they wanted, and it was in their
Hmm.
price range, and they got it. They drove down and bought it and drove it back up to Wisconsin, and it was hard watching that trailer go because it's like, oh my gosh, that's what could be. But I got to tell you, after doing mine and now I know it inside and out and
Yeah.
everything about it, and it looks good. Um, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's
Yeah.
crowded, but it's mine. I made it. It's just what I need. So, and I still get to keep the trailer that I love. So, I'm
Yeah.
happy I did it, and I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just have friends and that have got the competition trailers built out down the Waycross or uh, Red Fern Dynamics or whomever, whoever they get them to build, and they love them. But then the guys that put them together themselves, you guys seem to just be that much more attached to the rig. Um,
Yeah, mine was originally built by Stump, by
really?
Stump in his shop back when it was Stump Smokers because Stump owned it.
Yeah.
And I was a sponsored team by him then with Smokers. And he had somebody, I never knew who, but somebody came to him and wanted to build a badass Memphis and May rig.
Hmm.
So really strong, really overbuilt. And for whatever reason, the person had to bail out of the project. And so
Yeah.
Stump had this shell, and he said, "You know what? I'll sell it to you for what I got in it. Tell me how you
Yeah.
want to finish it out, and it's yours." So we did
Yeah.
that, and it's been amazing. When Garrett Elser, Jim's son, was working on it. He said, and Jim too said, "Man, this thing is built like a tank." And
Yeah.
it's there was no money spared in the build of it, and the quality is excellent. And I mean, the fact that 15 years later it's still sound as can be is a pretty good
Yeah.
testament to the quality Stump did.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a difference in trailer that's built to have folks in it and work in it versus a trailer that's built to hold, hoses and cleaning equipment that
Right.
some folks
Yeah,
retrofit
for
into
sure.
a cook trailer. Uh, I've
Yeah.
got I've got one of the guys that I think he's out of Illinois, and he literally has a pop-up camper that he has retrofitted into a food trailer and gotten all the inspections and all that fun stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that just looks so wild to me, but I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he needs, and I'm like, I don't understand how that worked out or where that idea came from, but it's pretty genius.
Yeah. Yeah. That pop-up camper doesn't sound too practical for a food vendor, but apparently
Yeah,
he knew what he was doing.
yeah. Well, it's not near the scale that you have built. But he's got a separate cook trailer and a separate vending trailer. So that I guess whatever their rules and regulations are, allows him to have the both, I guess.
Hmm.
So we've got the trailer built and we're now mobile and fully certified. Um, do you wish you did it earlier and left the
Um,
school earlier
no,
outside of retirement stuff? Do you wish you'd have started and doing that on a full time basis?
no, I don't think so because I had so much fun when I wasn't doing it.
Hmm.
I love to fish and I got to go fishing a bunch.
Hmm.
And I want to get back to fishing a bunch. And it's been sparse since I started the build because, you know, I figured I got to get this done and get it making some money. Um,
Yeah.
but, yeah, when you ask that, I think, well, does that mean I regret what I did between retirement and now, or maybe not
Hmm.
regret it, but wish I would have done it different? And I don't. I needed
Yeah.
I needed 3 years, 4 years of downtime to
Yeah.
decompress from 30 years of kids all up in my face. So I needed that break with nothing happening, and that really got me recharged and
Hmm.
feeling good again. So I I think I would have been it wouldn't have been good for me to start right away with a food trailer.
Yeah. Now, what about outside of like pensions or retirement plans and all that stuff from a work standpoint? When you were at the height of competing, at your competing at your highest level, if you could go back and say, you know what, I'm gonna hang this whole teaching kids thing up and go into barbecue as a food trailer, as food vendor, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, would you have done something like that if the opportunity had presented itself?
To be honest with you, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago,
Hmm.
when I was doing really, really well in competitions. And when I say really well, I was winning more money on a 2-day competition once a week, winning more money doing that than I was making my living as a teacher with, at
Hmm.
that time, 25 years experience,
Yeah.
which says two things. It says, one, I was winning some pretty decent money, but
Yeah.
two, teachers in Florida get paid shit. So, um, but I was really kind of pushing my wife. I said, honey, I think if I could not have to work 40, 50 hours a week teaching, and instead I could focus that on competing and, maybe like you said, food trailer, I said I can do a lot better than
Mhm.
just teaching alone. And she's like, no, you're very close to your 30 years. You don't want to do that. You want to get your full 30. And looking back at it, I'm glad that she did push me to stay in
Yeah.
because just a few short years later of still teaching and competing, I got totally burned out. I went from 100 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour in a matter of a couple of months as
Hmm.
far as my drive to compete was going.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm glad that I stuck where I was, got my full pension, um, and didn't go barbecue full time. You know,
Yeah.
it's definitely worked out for the best this way because I
Yeah.
got my full pension. I don't have to do anything with barbecue. I mean, we're okay. And in less than a year,
Yeah.
I'll start drawing Social Security, which makes me feel really old. But you know, at that point, I'll be making more than I did as a teacher. So um, I'm in good shape.
Yeah. I ask you just because, I talk to a lot of people that have made the jump from their regular job and just, left their regular job and just completely go into barbecue. And no, I wouldn't say never look back, but don't regret it in the least. And I just wonder where your headspace was with it. Um, I just,
Yeah, I in my mind I wanted to do it, but
yeah,
in reality, I'm glad I didn't do it. You know,
yeah,
I'd probably be, you know, let's say I did that 10 years ago, I'd probably be a burned out food truck operator by now. So,
yeah,
but I'd have to be doing it. So, you know, it wouldn't be any fun. Um, I'd dread it. So, I'm glad I went the way that I
yeah,
went. You know,
yeah,
it's fresh to me again. I still enjoy it. I've gotten away from the competition part. I've learned how to balance that, you know, do a
hmm,
competition when I have to just to be able to be there to sell. So
yeah,
I'm in a good spot. I'm happy
yeah.
the way it all went.
Yeah, I always wonder that, especially with the folks that just stayed the course until they went through their regular career and then transitioned to barbecue versus the ones that like, you know what, I'm done hanging sheetrock, or I'm done being an electrician. I want to be a restaurateur. Um,
Hmm.
Travis Clark, I'm talking to you. Um, 'Cause, he was an electrician and apparently a pretty good one. I guess he still has ties to his business with that.
Hmm.
Maybe that keeps him involved in it. But as far as like his day-to-day stuff, like he's a full-on restaurateur now, with what he's fixing to open the second location, and he's got everything that he's got going on. So I just wonder folks' headspace with regards to deciding to do barbecue full time.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's killing it obviously. But I bet he'd also tell you that he's working 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week.
I say probably north of 80 probably a
Yeah,
week.
yeah. And man, I'm just too tired to do that. But he's
Yeah,
young and strong and you know, big boy. I've always said earn the money while you can, earn it hard and earn as
yeah,
much as you can while you can, because eventually you're gonna start to wear out and get tired.
yeah. Make hay while the sun's shining, right?
That's right.
So we will hang it up for now, man. Where could we see you in the coming days, for the local guys, and any plans to hit the road again at all?
Well, this Saturday under the water tower, and I actually, you know, with Google, I think, or no, Facebook, you can check in at a location. And so
Hmm.
I purposely went there and I checked in and I named it Swamp Boys BBQ Food Trailer Under the Water Tower. So
Hmm.
that little piece of land is now named that. So we are going to be at that location this Saturday, serving lunch through sellout.
Yeah.
And then the next time we're out at an event, a contest. We're going to be at the Lakeland Pig Fest, which is the end of January over at Lakeland Linder Airport, and we'll be selling there. Following weekend, we'll be at Winter Haven, Smoke on the Water. We'll be selling there. And then we're going to start hitting the breweries. Front Page Brewery in Bartow and Grove Roots Brewery here in Winter Haven. And in the meantime, you can find us on all the socials, but also I'm on this new app called Street Food Finder.
Mhm.
And it's, SFF, Street Food Finder. You go in there, you type in Swamp Boys BBQ, and it'll show you where we're going to be next.
Awesome. 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 Well, we'll table it this time, and hopefully next time we get to do this in person, we'll hit the intro or hit the outro. Guys, if you've enjoyed this week's episode, I would appreciate a review, a like, a share. This week we've had Eub Bagby out of Winter Haven, Florida. I appreciate your time, Rub. It's great to chat to you all. As it's great to chat with you as always.
Thank you,
Um,
Wes.
and we'll catch you real soon.
See you.
All right. Now we're going to hang tight for just a second. We're still live, but that's the end of that. Um, I'm going to hit you just randomly a holiday recipe, something that speaks to, it's not Christmas dinner, it's not Thanksgiving dinner, it's not whatever holiday dinner without this food. What is it for you?
All right. Well, this is one that everybody in the barbecue world knows,
Mhm.
but it's kind of special to us. Um, we do a breakfast fatty for uh, Christmas breakfast, and it's
Okay.
sausage, it's cheese, it's flattened out and rolled up into a sausage log, and
Hmm.
then of course wrapped with bacon. But what made it special for us was when I was finalizing the commercial version of Swamp Boys barbecue sauce, um, it was on a Christmas morning breakfast fatty that I glazed with the sauce. And my
Yeah.
wife and I both had it and looked at each other and like, oh my God, that's it. That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's the way we want it. Um, so that's kind of special for us. And I know it's not a unique or anything special recipe, but just some good old Jimmy Dean maple and hot blended together, flattened out, and then we put some pepper jack cheese planks in it and roll it up like a big fatty and
Hmm.
wrap it up with a bacon weave and glaze it with some Swamp Boys.
Yeah. So that speaks the holiday to you then, huh?
It does. It does.
We're kind of the same way at our house. We do the sausage balls, with like the Bisquick and the sausage and the cheese. And
Hmm.
over the years, I've gotten away from the Bisquick and either mix my own stuff up or I use a blend of pork rinds and cream cheese instead
Oh,
of
that
the
sounds good.
Bisquick. And it's a little more low carb, and I
Hmm.
actually throw it on the smoker in there, the individual little sausage bites, and they're
Nice.
they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that always speaks holiday morning to me too.
Right.
I appreciate your time, man, and we will catch you next time, hopefully live.
All right. Appreciate it, Wes. Thank you.
Thanks everybody on Facebook and YouTube for watching. This has been Smoke